is 5:15 on June 24th, and we'll begin tonight's city council meeting by rising to say the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Some of your pay go negative.
I have just been alerted, there's been a slight change in our agenda for tonight, and we will be addressing the MW Capital Group 2 LLC Fairview Village Apartments Letter of Support at our next city council meeting on July 8th. He is unable to attend because of his dealing with flooding and transportation problems, so he is unable to attend tonight, so thank you. Okay, let the roll call show all council members are in attendance, and we'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes approval of the minutes of the June 10th, 2024 meeting, approval of bills and claims, no licenses nor permits, and one appointment by the council to Jimmy Van Tiger to the Parks Rec and Cultural Advisory Board, 3-year unexpired term to expire 5/31/26. Is there a motion? Any questions about the consent agenda, or is there a motion to approve? Second.
Jason and JJ.
Jason and JJ, thank you. All right, we'll move on to oral
We have
request.
to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We need to vote.
Schreck?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bordenero?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes,
Atherton?
Yes.
Motion carried.
thank you, Deb. Okay, we'll move on to oral requests and communications from the audience. And this pertains to any item that is not on the agenda. Is there anyone in attendance or online that would like to address a non-agenda item? Seeing none, we'll move on then. We have 3 ordinances tonight. And the first ordinance is the second reading of the parking changes along Bluff Street and Clark Street. And, are you handling this?
Yep,
Aaron? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, since the last council meeting, we haven't had any comments or concerns regarding the change in parking on Bluff Street and Clark Street.
Any questions pertaining to this? At all? Okay, and, okay, then the recommendation is, from Chief Burke, council consideration and discussion of the ordinance change amendment to chapter 69.03 and 69.08 of the City Carroll ordinance. Also by motion, deletion of the persons with disabilities parking in the 100 block of South Clark Street, east side, southerly most 2 spaces, and by motion, adding persons with disabilities parking in the 100 block of South Clark Street, east side, 5th and 6th spaces, north of 3rd Street.
So, look, let's take that in 3 different motions.
You do 1,
Yeah.
3, okay.
So, the first one would be
The change amendment
changing
to.
the ordinance.
Okay.
So moved.
Would you consider waiving a
Second.
3rd reading?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So it'd be approve the 2nd reading, waive the 3rd.
Third, okay. Any other questions, concerns at all? Okay.
You just second.
Second.
Oh, thanks, JJ.
Okay. Bauer?
Yes.
Bordenero?
Yes.
Schreck?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Let's just do this
Yeah.
in one motion.
Oh, you want just one?
So
No.
delete the persons
Right.
with disabilities parking in the 100 block of South Clark Street, east side, southerlymost 2 spots, and add persons with disabilities in the 100 block of South Clark Street, east side, 5th and 6th spaces north of First Street.
Okay, we'll combine those. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Yeah.
Atherton.
Okay, Jason, and who is that?
Tom,
Okay, thank you.
it's gonna be these ones here. The second part of that, right? Yep, okay. All right, we have Atherton,
Yes.
Schreck,
Yes.
Bordenero,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman.
Yes.
Motion carried. And then to adopt.
Okay, good. Then is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it was, thank you.
Burton and Kyle, okay, and on Bordenero,
Yes.
Atherton.
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Schreck.
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we'll move on to the public hearing for the rezoning of lots 12 and 13, Block 5, Highland Park addition. And we'll open our public hearing at 5:21. Any comments? Questions from the audience? Okay,
During our, if
Yeah,
you,
do you
if you
wanna-
might, yeah.
Yeah.
During our planning and zoning meeting, the P and Z committee voted to approve the change in zoning from R2 to R5. Essentially, on the south side of 13th Street is R5, on the north side was all R2. They took out the two lots at the intersection or the northeast corner of Quint and 13th Street to add to the R5 zoning on the south side. The plan for Mr. Franny and his partner is to add a threeplex and tear down the two rental properties there now, which will be single family, well, the shared wall homes that are sold to individuals. So individual property owners will own each one of those shared wall properties. So recommend to pass the first reading of the ordinance to rezone lots 12 and 13, Block 5, Highland Park Edition.
We need to close, yeah, we'll close the public hearing at 5:22 then. Any questions, comments from the council? Okay, this is the first reading, and is there a motion to accept the first reading of the ordinance rezoning Lot 12, Block 5, Highland Park Edition to the City of Carroll, Carroll County, Iowa, Lot 13, Block 5, Highland Park Edition to the City of Carroll County, Iowa, from R2 Low Density Residential District to R5 High Density Residential District.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Laverne, Jason.
Laverne, Jason.
Okay, roll call is Seaman,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Ordinaro,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Schreck.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. The final ordinance concerns the amendment to City Code Chapter 170.33, Special Provisions. And Dan, go ahead.
Thanks, Carolyn. Recently, staff was advised and we confirmed that there is unacceptable material being used for building fences in Carroll. Currently, there's nothing in the code that requires proper fencing building materials. Staff has added a section to 170.33, number 4, which details materials permitted for permanent fencing. That would be added to this ordinance. Recommendation for the mayor and council is consider the first reading of the attached ordinance to the code for the city of Carroll and adding section E, materials permitted, to 170.33 in the special provisions section of chapter 170.
Any questions?
Yeah, I think it'd be good to let the public know what you were talking about, what fencing.
So in the city, we've been getting complaints about people that are taking just regular 4-foot pallets and standing them on end and using them as fencing in their yards.
We're not talking about like garden, like decorative fencing, we're talking
Talking
yard
pallets that you see at a
fencing
trucking
used to
company
keep
that
dogs
Stack
inside.
stuff on and they're putting them together and it just, the neighbors are starting to complain. And there's a few of them in town that will give us an advantage to help figure out what they can do for fencing. That's basically what it is.
Chris, is anyone here to say anything about it, or?
I will speak on that because I have had several complaints to myself pertaining to 2 different properties in town.
So are they supposed to be pulling a building permit when they're putting these fences up?
No, there's not a building permit required for fencing. I don't believe so. I can double check that, but I don't remember a fencing permit, building permit.
So will there be a list of materials permitted? It looks like,
Attached copy of what we had there.
Under,
Pellet, scrap metal, snow fence, and other materials not specifically designed for, intended for fence construction.
so under 1, it says, under the, section 4E, be constructed in customarily used materials such as but not limited to wrought iron, aluminum, metal, wood, polyvinyl chloride or PVC, chain link, composite, and other similar materials that are durable and can be installed in such a way as to provide a clean finished appearance. Under 2, fence building materials not permitted include but are not limited to pallets, scrap lumber, scrap metal, snow fences, and other materials not specifically designed or intended for fence construction.
And this actually came from another cities. We actually went out and looked and seen what other cities are doing, and this is kind of their basic noting on it, so,
And this is numerous fences throughout the town, or is it just one fence?
there's numerous,
See that I found on my own.
you know,
A ballpark of numerous, 2, 3, 4, 5?
2.
2, okay, so it's 2.
So would you be thinking about brick walls? Some people use those as a property line.
Now, if you probably go to the code, fences, chain link is, I think, believe is the only thing allowed in the front yards, the code. From the side yard back, you can put in fencing. But it doesn't say brick, and I'd have to go back to the old ordinance, or the original ordinance, to see if it says that or not.
Because I have a rock fence around my yard, and in this ordinance, I'd almost be,
Well, you'd have to tear it down.
it's been there for
Not
120, it's
necessarily.
been there for 120 years, so. I see what
Not
you're saying.
necessarily, because that is a rock or a stone fence or a brick fence would be normal construction materials.
Okay,
And rock has a clean finished appearance.
But shouldn't that be in the ordinance, or
it
is
should
it in
be,
here?
yeah, I
Because
think it needs to be, I think it leaves it a little open-ended. I
But
just
just-
like these things to be clear and concise as possible, so that it just doesn't create problems later on. Does that make sense, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, but if you read that last sentence in 1, where it says, other similar materials that are durable and can be installed in such a way that provide a clean finished appearance, I mean, to me, a brick wall or your rock wall is a clean finished appearance.
Okay.
Okay.
And Dan, when you're talking about, where did I say it, fences for the protection of gardens may be allowed in the interior of the property, does that mean they cannot be on the property line? Or by interior?
Basically,
tell me
that
what
was,
you mean.
you'll see that, and there's a lot more of these in town, where you'll see a garden that's
Right.
fenced in with chicken wire or things like that
Right.
to keep the animals out. That's basically what that is
So,
allowed.
but interior means not
Inside the
on,
property line,
okay, thank you.
And how far inside the property line again? Whenever we write these things, we go,
So the-
my entire backyard is a garden now. And you guys out there look at me, shake your head. Yeah, I mean, literally, it's a foot in and the whole backyard is now a garden. And so,
I don't
is there
disagree with you.
parameters to where that garden stops?
A fence with the proper building material could be built on property line.
Okay,
Other than that, I mean, that's inside, so.
okay.
I mean, we can go back and rehash through this and see if there's more verbiage I need to put in here for that type of material, or in those circumstances, but.
There's people like me in this world that,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So do you want anything added, or what are you thinking?
I would like to make it just more, I think, specific, and then maybe parameters on the interior fence of what is considered in the interior, what is considered a garden fence. And Dan, you're kind of shaking your head too. When we do this, whoever's fence it is now going to move their fence in 1 foot, and then it's going to be, well, I'm protecting my garden.
Well, I think at the same time, you think of a garden fence, you move it a foot in, now you have it up all year long. Think of a garden fence, is there a time limit on there? I mean,
6 months, it says it in here, temporary, 6 months.
We'll go back through and
So, I mean, I like the idea of it. Yeah, you shouldn't have fences made out of random stuff. We just need to specifically kind of put it for those guys, if for lack of a better term.
we'll do that.
Okay.
Okay, are you thinking of bringing it back
Then I'll
next
bring it back.
meeting? Thanks, Dan.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
You're not sorry.
I am sorry.
No,
It was still good.
It's all right.
Okay, we have a resolution. Our first one is fiscal year 2025 property liability and workers' compensation insurance renewal. And you're taking over the
Yep.
floor. Okay, thanks.
Yep. The city's property liability workers' compensation insurance is due for renewal on July 1. Attached is the comparison of premiums for the upcoming year and the past 2 years. City has worked with our local agent with Mid-Iowa Insurance, and our total cost is $636,000, which is $156,000 more from last year. We've looked at adjusting our deductibles and felt that the increased exposure did not warrant the cost savings on that. So we felt that leaving the deductibles would be appropriate at this time. So I would recommend, any questions but would recommend approval of our property liability workers' compensation insurance.
Questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
If you don't
You
either.
can go first.
So with this extra increased rate, does this increase the deck sheets, everything? So if everything costs more, did it increase our monies to replace something? So if this building's worth $1 million, so did the extra money put more money on the deck sheet to say, well, if it burns down, does it go to $1.5 million? Is all the deck sheets in accordance with that?
I was gonna say that's a good
Yeah.
question for Terry.
Terry, come on up and introduce yourself.
One of the things when we look at increases in premiums, there's a number of factors. And one of the factors we look at is the exposure. And in this case, you're absolutely right. So I think the total property value last year was at like 102 million. Now we're at 113 million. So it went up roughly 11 million. So that gives.
That's part of it.
Part of the increase. Some of the other things were liability is based on your expenditures, and so your budget was up, I think, 5 million from last year. Payroll was up about $500,000. So those things are factored into that. So the rate just didn't go up. I mean, the rate is something separate, and the rate did go up as well, and the rate goes up for a number of reasons. Number one, if you've noticed, the number of claims that we've had, not only here, but throughout the Midwest, has increased and has not gone down. This started back with the derecho back in 2020, and we've just seen the number of storms continue to exceed what the insurance company normally looks at. And so that has gone, with COVID then, right after that, we've seen the cost of building materials go up. So what's happened, and part of the increase from the 102 to 113 million is the insurance companies are trying to catch up with inflation. 4 or 5 years ago, a $300,000 house is now $500,000 house or property, just because
Sure.
of what it costs. So, but to answer your question directly, yes, the exposures, the amount of physical damage on vehicles increased, the amount of property increased, and, you know, some of those things, you know, continue to go up.
That was easy.
There's only one company bidding this now, the way it looks. My concern is no competition, so they can charge what they want.
Well, keep in mind that ICAP for your property is pooled. You are a member, your own. They never make a profit without turning it back over to you as a member of it. So there is no profit motive for them. That's different than the other ones. But in direct response, yes, EMC is probably the only other company between EMC and ICAP. They probably write, I'm guessing, well over 95% of the cities and counties and municipalities throughout the state of Iowa. There are some that may start getting into the market if prices gets high enough, but right now there's not. And another factor that has led to the increase is if you look at the claims that the city has had, they have not been good. I don't think you got a report, but over the last 5 years, I think the total premium that you took in or paid was about 1.4 or 1.7 million, excuse me, and what you've paid out is about 1.5 million. So your losses have been almost 100%, you know, from what they're paid in. And you know, normal insurance companies operate on about a 50% ratio. So for every dollar that they take in, they can only pay out about 50% of that on claims. The rest of it goes for normal business operating. They have to pay their staff, they have to pay underwriters, adjusters, loss control people. So, you know, the good news is ICAP did not cancel. A lot of the standard companies have. And many of you who have your own businesses or your own homeowners, you've seen what's happening to the property rates. They've just skyrocketed. We see a lot of markets drying up. I mean, we've seen several companies pull out of the state, which is very unusual because here in the Midwest and in Iowa particularly, we've been kind of isolated. We don't have the hurricanes and all that kind of stuff, wildfires. But again, you know, we came up with a derecho, which we really never heard of in 2020, and that was an $11 billion claim stretching from Nebraska through Iowa and into Illinois. So, you know, we've been getting hit with tornadoes. I think Iowa's had more than 80-some tornadoes, which is...
It's good for insurance companies to pay out a little bit.
Well, it is, but, you know, they're for a reason. When you look at and understand that insurance is simply a risk-sharing mechanism. So we're just trying to take care of us. And with ICAP, that really truly is the case because, again, you know, you are a member. You have direct people that are councilmen and women, and those kind of people are on the board making those decisions for you. You know, they offer a lot of benefits and specialized coverages, but you know, again, you're right. An EMC, which was the other company, turned it down for 2 years in a row because of claims.
So if this, let's just say, housing and property values cool off, we can expect a not as large increase going to
Well, Jason,
25,
I've been saying
26?
this for the last couple of years. I pray that we get a normal summer of losses, but right now we have not seen that. If we do, then yes, I think rates will moderate.
Okay.
There's one thing, I mean, I could get into, and I'll be happy to talk to any of you for as long as you want, if you want to come in and discuss this. Reinsurance is something that directly affects your premium. Reinsurance is insurance that your insurance carriers buy. They don't assume the whole thing. So for the $113 million, they will buy reinsurance. So if there's a derecho or something that wipes out all the property in Carroll, ICAP is only going to be on the hook for probably about $25 million. Then they share the wealth with the rest of these reinsurers who then pick up that market because, you know, on big claims like that or big exposures, no company wants to expose themselves to all that. So they spread it around. The number of reinsurers has gone down drastically. And most of those, unfortunately, are owned by private equity firms and people that all they care about is they want to make money. If they're not getting a 10, 12% return,
Yep.
and so we run into a capacity issue because we're running into fewer reinsurers, and that cost keeps going up. And again, there's, I could speak for an hour on this.
I got you. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions? Sorry, it's so hot, I wish, doesn't make my job easier coming to these and having to explain those, so, but thank you.
No, you're always very thorough. Thank you very much. Anything else from anyone? Any other comments? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the contracts for property, liability, and workers' compensation insurance coverage, which includes payments of premiums on July 1, 2024, and to appoint city manager Aaron Quaker and city clerk finance director Laura Schaefer as contacts to act as liaisons between the city and ICAP.
So moved.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
third, fifth.
Tom, Jason.
Thank you. Got it.
Figure it out one of these days.
Roll call, Atherton,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Shrek,
Yes.
Bordenaro.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we'll move on to the second resolution, West Gulfview subdivision. First, the preliminary plat, and then the final plat. And Randy.
Okay, thank you. Both the preliminary plat and final plat are presented to you for the West Gulfview subdivision. As you recall, it's a 4.45 acre subdivision consisting of 9 lots. 4 of those are 26,000 square feet and 5 are 18,000 square feet. The preliminary plat does illustrate, conceptually illustrate the public improvements that are included in the subdivision. And in general terms, they consist of gravity sanitary sewer, a lift station, a force main sanitary sewer, some limited storm sewer, widening of the roadway to include curb and gutter, and then grading, trail reconstruction. So that is the preliminary plat. The final plat, of course, is the recordable document that describes the lots, legally describes the lots. It also includes some easement dedication for utility construction. At their meeting on June 12th, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended tentative approval of the preliminary plat to you and approval of the final plat to you. So unless there are any questions, we'd recommend your consideration of tentative approval of the preliminary plat and acceptance of the final plat.
You want one single vote? I thought we need 2, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there a motion for the approval of the preliminary plat of the West Gulfview subdivision?
So moved.
Okay, Kyle,
Second.
thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Okay,
Yeah, Tom.
Tom.
Bauer,
That
Yes.
was
I'm over.
Jason.
Atherton,
No.
Bordenaro,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Shrek,
No.
Dirks.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Okay, Randy, do you have anything more to say, or you kind of summed up?
I
on the final
kind of
plat?
summed up the final plat unless there are any questions.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the final plat of West Gulfview subdivision?
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you, Kyle, Laverne.
Second.
Okay, roll call is Atherton,
No.
Shrek,
No.
Dirks,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Bordenaro.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next we have the 2024, 2025 salary resolution, and Aaron will handle this.
So Aaron, you kind of went over it real quick. I was the one that held it up, so I'm good if you just want, if you guys are all good, if you don't want to go back over everything. I was the one that held it up because I got that information at the end. And
I was just
I'm
gonna
sufficing
say, after a presentation from last week, or last council meeting, there hasn't been any changes this time. Information has gone to, Councilman Atherton for his request. So at this point in time, city staff would recommend, approval of the resolution for pay for the, employees. beginning July 1, 2024.
Okay, any other comments from anyone else? Okay.
I do have a comment. I guess the comment that I have is I'm a little concerned that we're only raising or increasing, doing a bigger increase for one employee. And what does that open us up to in the future? So if somebody else came in and said, I don't like my pay, I want to increase, and we don't allot that to the entire city staff, are we
Well-
creating an issue by opening that door?
No, because the majority of our staff is under a union contract, and all staff outside of the union contract can be considered merit-based, or since we were using a survey study, one that we completed, and then there was another survey that I used from Spencer, which had us as a comparison. We review staff salaries all the time, quite frankly. If there's something that seems out of whack, we would address that. However, at this point in time, it really, quite frankly, was only one, and that was where we felt needed to be addressed.
Okay.
Okay, let's move along then. Is there a motion to approve the resolution setting top of pay or ranges for pay for city employees beginning July 1, 2024?
So moved.
Tom, thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Laverne.
No.
Kyle,
Oh, it was Kyle, sorry.
I'm here to
Okay. Roll call is Bordenaro,
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Bauer.
Yes.
Shrek.
No.
Atherton.
No?
Seaman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next we have the general, urban renewal economic development matters engagement agreement. And Aaron.
Yep.
Thank you.
In general, the city has been working with Nathan Overberg from Allers and Cooney for many years to guide the city through the process of development and the required documentation to create and amend urban renewal plans, development agreements, urban revitalization plans, and other economic development matters. Normally, when we have changes like this, we get a letter of agreement or an engagement letter on a case-by-case basis. Because we've had a number of economic development discussions over the last year, along with planned increase or planned new discussions, Mr. Overberg sent us a letter or a general urban renewal economic development matters engagement agreement that covers most of that for the next upcoming timeframe. So I would recommend discussion and approval of the General Urban Renewal Economic Development Matters Engagement Agreement with Allers and Cooney PC.
Questions about this change in approach? I just see us as it's enabling us to respond quickly as the need arises. And we'll still get to act on whatever occurs. So whatever the document is, so I just see this as helping expedite things.
So we only get charged per every time we use it, right? There's no extra charge because of this?
No, they still charge us on an hourly basis on what they're working on. It just means we don't have a letter of or an agreement letter each time we have a new project to work on.
And Dave, did you review this? I know that they're speaking your language over here.
Yeah.
My public high school education. There's some big words in there, if you know what I mean.
No, I think we have a long history with them. We have some trust built up, and so I feel comfortable with that agreement. And I think for the most part, it's a typical agreement that we see per project. So they've just expanded it a bit pursuant to our wishes.
Okay.
So no problems with it, at least as I see it.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the General Urban Renewal Economic Development Matters Engagement Agreement with Allers and Cooney? You got it for, geez, I'm trying to talk fast, you guys. Okay, so it's Tom and Jason, thank you.
Sorry, JJ.
That's all right.
Roll call, Shrek?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bordenaro?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we will go to the heavy-duty, I know,
Making sure we skip the one that we took off.
yes, and
Laura said we have to have a motion to move.
to take it, okay. So, is there a motion to revisit, or to visit to table this, and then bring it back on July 8th, the
Yeah,
MW?
I got one thing. I remember I said I was gonna call the IDEA, and it is the $1,000. That was a moment of contention, I guess. Here it is the $1,000 per unit that we are required to support, but that can go through abatement, it can go through the building permit, it can go through all that to get to that level, that $72,000 or whatever it may be, so.
Okay.
You remember that, Laverne? That we were, okay. That's it?
So now we need a motion
We
to
need a
table it.
motion to
Okay,
table it.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Tom, Jason.
Okay, roll call is Shrek?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Bordenaro?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, Randy is up next regarding the heavy-duty truck purchase for the street division.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Yeah,
On June 18th, proposals were received for the purchase of a heavy-duty truck with snow removal equipment for use in the street division. 3 proposals were received. The lowest received was from Ascendance Truck Centers. However, they did include a stipulation in their proposal that if the truck is to be built in 2026, there would be a $15,000 additional charge, and the trade-in would be reduced by $2,500. So that would make the net price under that condition $259,495, as opposed to the current low price of $241,995. The Ascendance will attempt to have the truck built before that 2026, but they cannot guarantee it from the company that that will be done. So the recommendation is based on current truck pricing that it was provided in the proposal. That is to purchase the truck, or approve the purchase of the truck from Ascendance at the proposed price of $241,995, with the understanding that if it is dropped into 2026 build, that the price may increase. Unless there are any questions, that's the recommendation. Ryan Burkowski with Ascendance Truck is here to answer any questions also.
So,
Ryan,
Ryan,
real
come
quick on this.
Ryan, come on up. Yeah, thank you.
Will there be a price protection on this?
It is somewhat price protected through NGPA Sourcewell, which you guys are a member of. That is what it's priced under. That is a ceiling contract pricing option that municipalities can use. So yes, it is price protected under that. With the additional cost of the emission systems, I have not seen to what level they are going to price protect that yet. We don't normally see those protections in Sourcewell until year of. So if that truck is built in 26, I will see those protections in 26.
So if this is, I mean, if this is picked up and built, is it built as a 24? Or are they building these as 25s today?
They're building these as 25s today.
Okay.
I have talked with my allocation manager. We are going to push to get the city of Carroll's truck moved up, but I cannot guarantee it.
so, how long does it normally take to build one of these trucks?
Post-COVID, 24 to 36 months.
So I pulled up when we ordered this last truck, which I believe was in April of 22. And from then till now, I see a $58,000 increase on trucks.
Yes. We have went through one emission systems upgrade through the EPA standards. That was approximately 15,000. We have seen large increases in the steel and the metals and the alloys used in the snow equipment. To what those upgrades have been, Kyle, I don't have that information in front of me, but yes, they have went up considerably.
So if you don't get this truck done within a year, then I get charged $17,500.
Could, yes. I cannot guarantee that I can build it in that amount of time. And the EPA is going to mandate that that emission system come out.
Randy, how soon before there'll be another truck that needs to be updated?
Probably another 2 years.
So what incentive do you have to build this thing within the year if you make an extra $17,500?
I don't make any more. I am through Sourcewell and GPA. That is a ceiling profit. I can only charge so much profit on these vehicles.
I mean,
to them.
somebody's getting an extra 17.5 if this thing does not get done within a year.
Correct.
So maybe I'm not the smartest businessman, but I would make sure that this thing was not done within a year. So I got the other 17.5. I think, would everyone else here agree that if you can get an extra $17,000, $500, you're probably going to go for that?
I have no incentive to take this truck out. I will not make any more on a year later than I will on a 2025.
Then why is this 17.2? I see the $2,500 because it's a year late of the truck. This $15,000. Why is there a $15,000 increase if there's zero profit or anything to be made?
The emissions, or the engine manufacturer who completes all the emissions coming out of the exhaust pipe of the engine, is telling us that in 2026, we will see a $15,000 increase per truck for the next round of the EPA emissions on diesel trucks. That standard is to be completed by the 2027 year.
Jason, I got a fire truck that's out for bid right now, and it's in the same, we haven't even ordered it yet, just out for bid, and I've already gotten that letter, the same letter, because of the motor issue. They can't guarantee that pricing, but they give you so I think the fire truck was 17,000, I think is what it.
It's probably a larger engine though.
Yeah.
And this is some law that's coming out for the emissions increase, or is it just, what is this? What is this 15,000? I mean, that's a chunk of change right there for.
Cummins Engines or Cummins Incorporated that makes the engine and the after treatment system. This is what they're telling me to expect for the increase. If that increase comes in at 13,000, you will be charged at 13. If it comes in at 6, you'll be charged at 6. If we beat the timeline to produce it, there will be a non-issue.
It's a pretty
But I
solid
can't
number just to
guarantee it.
predict. Okay. And this is how they're normally bid out, like, it seems insanity to a new guy here that.
I've had to answer this question for
I guess-
4 years, so.
I guess you guys have been here longer than me. It seems
Jason, I was the same way.
answer me 2 years ago.
The last truck I voted no on. But seeing the price increase makes me want to ask Randy, is this something where we look at ordering 2 trucks at once? I mean, you're going to essentially we're going to save money on it later on. We're just going to be replacing 2 at the same time again, but waiting 2 years essentially cost us $58,000 or more dollars.
Entirely up to you. They're not budgeted. The difference, I didn't look at the difference between the last truck we ordered and this one. There was some equipment difference.
Yeah, I pulled up the last truck. It was $224,966, and had a trade-in value of $41,000. So net difference of $183,900. So we have a $58,000 increase in 2 years. And we don't have this last truck we ordered yet, which I have to go back and look at the date, but I want to say it was April when I pulled this up from our council meeting. So a little over 2 years, so 26 months later, we don't have that truck.
This truck has a slide-in sander, so that could be part of the difference. But yes, price have gone up.
And if I was a betting man, this truck's gonna cost $259,000 instead of this adjusted. That's just natural business mind frame of me of.
Well, but look at the bids as they are now. 241, then you have one at 289. And then you have one almost close to the 259 at 254. And they're probably in the same position.
You guys typically,
And yeah, I'm sorry, you know more about this than I do, Kyle, but the truck we're trading in on the bid sheet is a 2008, correct?
Yes.
And you said we'll need another new truck in 2 years. Do you know off the top of your head, Randy, what year that one
No.
is?
I
Okay,
don't.
but it'd be comparable, I'm
Sure.
sure, because you keep them as long
Maybe
as possible.
15 or so years,
Okay,
something.
so I see this as worth the risk.
I mean, we need the truck, it's just,
Yeah,
it's
but-
just a terrible layout of a deal.
Well,
Randy,
it's,
does Truck Center the company that has the second bid, can they guarantee it this year?
They have, that's, the information they gave us was for delivery in March 2025.
And at that price?
Yes.
so,
So we're taking a $4,500 chance here.
Yeah.
so I look at this two ways. You know, we have a company from Carroll versus, you got one from Ankeny and Altoona. And if I'm that Truck Center and you break down, who's coming to fix it?
Truck Center. Absolutely.
Or they're putting you to the back of the line. I mean, they're probably prioritizing us right now as a city by purchasing from
The
them.
locals. Sure.
Yes,
They do.
versus having somebody from out of town.
Sure.
Correct.
So I think that means something too.
I'm good, guys, I just,
I think it's really good that you're locking the price. You know, you have a $32,000 trade-in price that you're putting out there for essentially 2 years versus these other guys at $6,500 and $7,500. So it's hard to know what depreciation is going to be in 2 years from now.
Very
You know, is
hard.
that, I mean, is that truck going to be worth $32,000 in 2 years or not?
Sure hope so.
So,
What is the warranty on these?
Warranty on trucks are, it's 1 year bumper to bumper. There's limited warranty on components of 3 years and 5 years. There is frame rail degradation, cab degradation from faulty metals and materials that exceeds that 5-year mark. But each one of the components in the engine, the transmission, the axles, all carry a manufacturer's warranty, most of those being between 3 and 5 years.
So if we did take the one loco, you were gonna eat up that $4,500 real quick by traveling.
in travel
In
for
travel.
service.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Ryan, very much. Yeah.
Oh, they usually run 70 plus.
70,000?
Yeah.
thank you too, man. I've never seen a contract written like that.
Anything else? But good questions all around. Okay, then I'll ask for a motion to approve the purchase of a heavy-duty truck from Ascendance Truck Centers at their proposal price of $241,995, with the understanding that if the truck rolls into 2026 production year, the price may increase. Is there a motion?
so moved.
Second.
Thank you, Kyle and JJ.
Roll call is Shrek,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes,
Atherton,
Grudgingly, yes.
Bordenero.
Yes.
Motion carried.
okay. Randy's up again with the tractor with front loader purchase for wastewater division.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Carolyn.
Yeah,
Also, on June 18th, proposals were received to purchase a tractor with a front loader for the wastewater division. 5 proposals were received from 4 equipment dealers. The lowest proposal was provided by Ziegler at a cost of $22,008. Unless there are any questions, I'd recommend your consideration of approval of that proposal from Ziegler at $22,008.
Randy, quick question. So the employees that are running this tractor, did they get a chance to run this piece of equipment from Ziegler?
No, they didn't. No.
Is there a way that we could have them bring it out and demo? And the only reason I ask that, just on the controls standpoint of things, how John Deere runs versus, you know, probably a Caterpillar are going to be different, you know. At the end of the day, I think it's,
Yeah, because we have equipment right now that people are using that aren't satisfied with the equipment that they have. And And so me and Kyle had kind of talked about this before, is that, yeah, can they try this thing at least to make sure that,
I would think we could approach Ziegler to try to get one. They'd have to bring it in from Fort
assume with
Dodge.
our other contract, we can do about anything we want, so.
No, I mean, it's,
I
we
just-
certainly can.
You know, I know at the end of the day, money's money, but on the equipment operator side and employee side of things, $4,500, you know, if we have this thing for the next 15 years, that's very cheap, you know, to be able to operate it and the usability of it. You know, one of the employees that Jason and I had a conversation with, one of the pieces of equipment that he got absolutely hates it. So that's my only hang up on this.
My concern is Ziegler's not here. All right, if we have a warranty problem, where do we go?
In this case, it would be Fort Dodge.
Okay. So you got a $1,900 difference between them and Haley. If we have warranty problems, for how long is the warranty?
On these, I would have to look to make sure, but they're similar to the trucks, I believe.
Okay. So my concern is how fast, you know, if we have problems with it, we're gonna eat that up real quick with travel to Fort Dodge and lack of service.
I mean, even
But it's
even
$1,900 difference though.
yeah, even though they're talking building here, they're not here today. I think definitely on the service side of things, it makes a difference.
You know, are we willing to take a chance that this thing won't have a problem and, or do we buy local and have service here, is a question I have.
Good question.
Well, this isn't a Caterpillar tractor, it's a Massey Ferguson tractor, so it's not the same. It's not quite the same equipment-wise, but the development agreement with Ziegler Caterpillar is almost final, so they are gonna be building here in the near future, so I would consider that a local business.
Okay.
And we don't have anything in our bidding policies and procedures that would give a discount to a local bidder if it's within a certain amount.
I think I have no problem spending the money. I just want to make sure that the user is satisfied with the product that they're going to get. Because a happy user probably works harder than an unhappy, right? So, right? I mean, like happy wife, happy life. Learned that earlier today. So,
No, the
That's where I'm coming at.
users are involved in specifying the equipment. You know, that's, it's given to them first. You tell me what you want for a piece of equipment. And then we write that specification around what they want. Now, as far as the technicality of where the gear shift lever is and the throttle and whatever, that's but per manufacturer. I mean, those will vary. But we always involve the users in specifying the equipment that we
are
purchase.
these all the same exact tractors or companies of tractors here, or?
They're all within generally the horsepower range we need, the size we need.
And is there a preference on the user, what they would rather have of them?
They have not expressed a preference,
Have we asked them?
no,
Okay.
because we have gone with bidding, low bid.
Yep.
Anything else from anyone at all? Okay,
What's the timeline on getting one of these machines?
I think that one, they had indicated in their proposal 30 days.
Order increases by $22 a day.
And these, how long are these bids good?
These are bids, I believe, are good for 30 days.
I'd personally like to have, you know, hear the feedback from the employees that are gonna run it.
Kyle, I'm gonna go back to what I just said to these guys, and it was kind of a joke, but we don't ask every employee if they enjoyed, I mean, did we ask?
You're not gonna
Justin?
please everybody, but
Exactly, so, I mean, are we opening ourselves to like continuing, or extending this process longer than necessary just to make sure? I mean, like I said, Justin didn't get to go test drive the cop car that he showed up in tonight. I mean,
I used to have a government vehicle called the Green Goblin that would roll down the windows. I mean, but like if somebody had asked me, I would have been like, I'd like a nicer vehicle.
I mean, I would have asked for all
I get
kinds
you.
of specifications in the squad
Yes.
car when I drove that,
Yes,
but
yes,
That's a good point.
that is a good point.
These types of discussions should have been had when we were getting ready to bid, not gone to council members and said, hey, well, I don't like that tractor, or I don't like that tractor. This should have happened with Randy or with Dale long time ago. That's not fair to come back after we've put it out to bid, got the quotes, and then said, well, I don't like that tractor. To me, that person should be talking to their department head and should be talking to the superintendent before this happens, not when we get here and all of a sudden they've talked to council members who then we get blindsided as either the city manager or the department head who's going, we've never heard that conversation before.
they didn't directly say it to me. It's something that I asked for, you know.
Well, I
the piece
understand
you
that, but they should
traded
be
in.
having a conversation within their department, not going afterwards and taking pot shots later.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's taking pop shots. We're just trying to figure out how this process goes. I mean, this, for the future ones even, like, I mean, nobody's taking pop shots or anything.
I just think they're circumventing the chain of command in this process. That's my problem. So I think at this point, we have a low bid, we have a local bidder that's going to be here. I know they're not here now, but we have the low bid, and that's been our policy, and I think that's the direction we should go.
Well, and another thing to consider, sometimes we often have trouble getting multiple bids. And we had quite a few bids. So I think that shows a lot of interest in Carroll, and that is good.
Well, now that you've told me that you signed a contract with Seaver Common, I consider them a local.
Well, I've got the development agreement that they're agreeing to, and then I'll have it to you free. I hope I have it for you guys here in July.
Okay. So can I make a motion to approve this?
yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Thank you.
Roll call, Atherton,
yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Schreck,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Bauer,
No.
Bordenero.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, the committee reports are attached for information only.
Ooh, I'd like to comment on that, actually. I've seen,
Yeah, go ahead.
I've
Jason.
seen that the airport committee, there was a hot topic on the airport car and the funding of the airport car. And there was a tip jar there that was supposed to come back to the constituents to help pay for the car and fuel of the airport car. And they just voted to remove the one stream of revenue coming back to the taxpayers, in that tip jar. So, yeah, it's frustrating to see that when you have a car that people are paying for, and then people are leaving money, and you cancel the one stream of revenue that the constituent is actually getting back. So, just kind of food for thought, I guess, for the council going forward.
Do you know what the stream of revenue is, Jason?
What, the stream of revenue?
From the tip jar, yeah. What is it?
The tip jar was from when you took the courtesy
No,
car.
the total amount of revenue coming in.
We have no idea. We discussed that last time at the
I
last
asked
meeting.
Don, he said it's maybe $20 every couple months.
Well, during the
Didn't-
meeting
yeah,
last
didn't
time,
we ask for it?
Greg
They didn't
said
have
that
any
every time somebody
documentation on
takes
it?
it, they had no documentation of it, and Greg said every time he takes it, he puts at least $20 in there, so it's very confusing how much money it was, and now, but it was, at the end, it was the only stream of money that was coming in for that rental car, and now we just got rid of it, and so it's somewhat frustrating. But yeah, I would love to
So-
see the last 2 years of revenue coming in from that. I've asked for it numerous times, and it hasn't been produced for me, but,
We will ask them. Thank you.
oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. All right, any more comments from the city council at all? Okay, Aaron?
I have one before we go into closed session. Today I went to the county supervisors meeting. They were discussing starting their discussion about the 2080 and the extraterritorial zoning. At some point in time, council will want to, or will be asked to go to we'll have to have a special session with the supervisors to discuss and have any changes made to that 2080 agreement.
Okay, as we get ready for the closed session, is there a council member who will ask our city attorney whether we are able to go in for the subject cited here? Potential purchase of real estate.
Are we able to?
Yeah.
Carolyn, I'll just jump in and authorize the council.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll need a motion to go into
Okay, is there a motion to go into closed session? Thank you, Tom, JJ.
Roll call, Atherton?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Bordenero?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Trek?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you.